Thank you, Jen. I think we all feel a little bit part of the Lau family now. And thank you, Greg, man of very few words. But my name is Ricky Ching. I am the event committee chair, and I have the distinct honor and privilege of presenting tonight's Historic Hawaii Foundation 2022 āina of the Year Award to Connie Lau. The Lei Hulu Kamoi, presented to Connie, pays tribute to her 37 years of leadership and community service. As symbols of power, Hawaii's ali'i, the Lei Hulu represent lineal heritage and provide spiritual protection. This handmade feather lei was created by artist Boris Kekai'ulu Ikahikina Huang, hope I pronounced that right, an apprentice of the late Hawaiian feather lei master, Auntie Mary Lou Kekueba. Mahalo, Connie, for the example you set for us all, and for the many ways that our community has benefited from your leadership. I was supposed to present that to you and give it to you, but it's kind of big, so we'll leave it there while you give your speech, and we'll figure out how to get it to you tonight. But everybody, please join me in a round of applause for our honoree tonight, Connie.
Well, that was an incredible surprise to hear Jen and Greg. And I think now you probably know why I do what I do and why you all probably do what you do. It's really for the next generations. I'd like to really first mahalo Historic Hawaii Foundation, Vernon, Kirsten, Ricky, and the board for honoring me at your first in-person event since 2019 when we all gathered to honor Donnie's mom, Auntie Beatty. A special mahalo to Robin Lung and my dear friends Jeff Watanabe, Tim Johns, Shelley Kimura, Ann Teranishi, and Dr. Mike Latham for the amazing video. I really feel after watching it that you all truly captured why Hawaii is so special to me and why it's so crucial for each of us and all of us together to steward the places, the people, and the culture for our children, grandchildren, and the generations to come. A mahalo, Aaron, a Manette, for the very special Oli and Pule. You take me back to my Kamehameha days, and I see Neil there too, when I was so privileged to be a part of one of our most important Hawaiian institutions. Hawaii is special. I felt it growing up in Kaneohe Bay, surrounded by nature, the elements, and a loving ohana. But I never appreciated how special Hawaii was until I went away to college and worked on the mainland and later traveled to many places. Our location in the Northern Pacific truly makes this paradise. Hawaii's sheer natural beauty, welcoming climate, and rich mixture of cultures and people anchored by our native Hawaiian host culture cannot be matched anywhere in this world. In fact, when I've traveled, even to very remote places like Inner Mongolia or the Cordilleras in the Philippines, people know Hawaii and they want to come here. As I look around the room, I know each of you, whether you grew up here or not, feel this in your na'au, in your deepest being. It's a culture that cares about our natural environment. You can see that in our historic structures, which seek to take advantage of our natural trade winds and to bring the outside in and create environments where people can live in harmony with the environment. This very ballroom and this historic hotel are great examples of that, and I can understand why Historic Hawaii chooses to celebrate here year after year. But Hawaii is so much more. Whether it's our aloha, or something else, it's special. I feel fortunate to have been raised here, but I feel more fortunate that the dream of every parent came true for me when my daughter Jen and son-in-law Rob Nelson chose to raise their family here. I was touched when they said they did it because they wanted to raise their family in a community, and Hawaii has that sense of community. When we worry about our sons and daughters leaving our shores never to return, when I talk to those who have returned, I hear over and over that they do it because Hawaii is the best place on earth to raise a family, to have an ohana. It's the same reason others who haven't grown up here too move here. And lucky for my husband, Russell, and me, our son Greg, whom you met, also returned, and son Eric, who lives in San Francisco, wants to eventually return home too. I never expected them to come home. In fact, I frankly had given up hope. But I think that if we can keep Hawaii special, many of our children will choose to make Hawaii their home. Maybe that's why I care so much about community, because I think that's key to what makes Hawaii special. Maybe it's our island surroundings or how we are raised. It's ohana, and not just our immediate family, but our extended ohanas at work, at school, at church, and all the nonprofits that we volunteer for. We care, and we care about others. One lesson I learned is that sometimes our conventional Western-based society doesn't always make it easy for us to keep Hawaii special. Much as you heard in the video, my desire running Hawaii's largest corporation wasn't just to make shareholders money, but to serve our communities and be a catalyst for a better Hawaii. But corporate law, when I joined HEI, was very clear that the paramount objective for corporations was to generate shareholder profit. I had to find a way to bridge the gap between my beliefs and those of Wall Street. I argued that because all our operations at HEI, Hawaiian Electric, and American Savings Bank were only here in Hawaii, it made logical financial sense that we had to take care of our communities, synonymous with our customers. Wall Street bought it, and as many of you know, the financial world has now adopted a view more similar to mine, where corporations should be more purpose-driven. Under the new ESG doctrines, that is, beliefs that we should conduct our businesses to preserve the environment, the E, help improve society, the S, and govern our institutions with transparency and be accountable for the results, the G, I feel vindicated in my original beliefs. So Jen, I'm sorry you lost that job with the investment bank, but maybe you could have gotten one today. And all of us should feel fortunate that our Hawaii corporations are enlightened and do put our communities first. And I know that when I look around the room and see all the CEOs here who really, truly also believe that. And not all corporations are that way. When I served as a Kamehameha Schools trustee, I ran into a similar issue. The Western trust laws under which Keali'i Pauahi's trust had been formed made it difficult to preserve the land, the āina, that is crucial to the health and well-being of Native Hawaiians and indeed all of Hawaii. When we negotiated with the Internal Revenue Service to preserve the trust's tax-exempt status and avoid paying over $1 billion in taxes, we argued that the IRS should concentrate its spending requirement only on the commercial lands, like this hotel and the Royal Hawaiian Shopping Center, that provided most of the income. In fact, stewarding the preservation and agricultural zoned lands actually had a net cost to steward them properly, and burdening them with a spending requirement could force a sale of the land. Can you imagine? Totally the wrong result for Kamehameha. The IRS bought it, and as well as a flexible spending formula that significantly increased the amount that could be spent for education while protecting the land assets. We also came up with a policy that acknowledged the importance of financial return, something of paramount importance under Western trust law, but also recognized the importance of historical, cultural, educational, and social values. Even at Consuelo Foundation, formed to protect against child abuse and neglect, we've determined that culturally based or āina-based interventions really work, but very few governmental or philanthropic resources recognize this. They favor known conventional interventions used everywhere and don't recognize the value of culture and connectedness to the āina. Accordingly, we are developing arguments and helping sponsor research and data collection that will help āina-based institutions working in our communities to demonstrate their effectiveness and obtain funding. It's hard for me to believe that these kinds of issues even exist, since I believe so strongly that we must encourage what makes Hawaii special. We all feel it in our na'au, but sometimes things get in our way. So my lesson learned and the message to you is that if you believe something really makes Hawaii special, don't let anyone tell you otherwise and that you can't make it happen. There is always a way. I was fortunate to be raised by parents who believed strongly in education. From an early age, my dad encouraged me to get both a law degree and a business degree, even though I'm not even sure that he finished 6th grade himself. And in those days, when being female or of color didn't accord you the same opportunities, he wanted me to get educated, to know my rights, and to be able to fight for them and for the rights of others. So my life has been about leveling playing fields and encouraging people, no matter their gender, race, or persuasion, to recognize their full potential. My mother's family were all teachers in the DOE, and from them I learned how important it is to nurture both the mind and the spirit. Today I am so happy that Shelley and Ann, 2 women, are heading HEI's 2 major subsidiaries, and that Scott Sue is HEI's first CEO of Native Hawaiian ancestry. As I look around the room tonight, I feel very blessed that so many of you have helped me in my journey. Tom Fargo, Jeff, Tim, Micah Kane, all members of the HEI board, and Alan Oshima, Scott, Shelley, Ann, and the whole HEI family. If you hadn't also believed, we could never have made the pivot that Tim talked about to have HEI help drive a sustainable future for Hawaii. And my ohanas at Kamehameha, Punahou, Consuelo, and Matson, I've been so privileged that you all have been of like mind to seek what makes Hawaii special and work together to give that gift for future generations. To Jen, Greg, and Eric, I know he's out there listening, thank you for carrying on my value of caring for Hawaii. To Rob, thank you for choosing to make Hawaii your home and for bringing my grandchildren back here to Hawaii. And you're giving them the opportunity to experience this amazing place. A special thank you to my longtime assistant, Rena, and to AJ Halagao for helping me serve this community for many, many years and for working with Historic Hawaii to make this night so special. And finally, mahalo to my dear husband, Russell, who always believed in me even when my own beliefs faltered. And as Anne said, I hope to go on helping perpetuate the special places, people, stories, and culture of this very special place, Hawaii, that I call home, and continuing the journey with all of you. Mahalo.